All right, so moving on to the next segment. I'll be sharing my most improved teams this NBA season. So these are the following teams that I do believe have improved the most during the NBA this season from where these respective teams were last season in the NBA season. So team number one on my list is the Oklahoma City Thunder. I do believe that the Oklahoma City Thunder have been one of the most improved teams across the board in the NBA this season. This young team, this young talented Oklahoma City Thunder team last season went from being a play-in tournament team, just barely missing the playoffs last year in the Western Conference, to being a top 3 team currently in the Western Conference right now. As I record this segment, as I record this video, they are currently the number 3, they are the 3rd seeded team in the Western Conference today in the NBA. They are led by their MVP candidate in Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's averaging 31 points per game. Chet Holmgren, their one of their top priority picks they had in the 2022 NBA draft, missed him last year for his rookie season. Now is out there contributing to this young, talented Oklahoma City Thunder team as they are one of the best teams in the NBA this season. And they acquired veteran shooter Gordon Hayward by the NBA trade deadline. Once he comes back from injury, it's really going to be interesting to see how Gordon Hayward plays in the rotation with this young, talented Oklahoma City Thunder team. I just feel like if this team keeps up their success, I feel like this is going to be a team that a lot of teams in the Western Conference are not going to want to face in the NBA playoffs. I do believe that the Thunder are here to stay, and they are one of the most improved teams in the NBA this season. Then, moving on to the next team. Oh, this next team has really improved in my eyes. It's the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves, when you look back at what happened to them last season, they got gentlemen swept by the Denver Nuggets, and there's no shame in that. The Denver Nuggets went on to win the NBA Finals, but they were gentlemen swept as the 8th seed, losing that series 4-1 to the number 1 seeded Denver Nuggets last NBA playoffs. We always knew the talent was there for the Minnesota Timberwolves. They have Karl-Anthony Towns, they have Anthony Edwards, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley. A lot of talent there in Minnesota. They have a pretty good rotation for all the other players that are a part of this team, but they're finally starting to put it together out there in Minnesota. And they've been one of the best teams defensively in the NBA this season, and that's supposed to happen when you have Rudy Gobert, an elite defender, one of the best defenders that we've seen in the NBA for the last 5 to 6 years in the league. And as long as this team keeps it up defensively, if Karl-Anthony Towns remains healthy, as long as Anthony Edwards continues to carry the team offensively and play at an elite level, the sky is the limit for the Minnesota Timberwolves. And I do believe they could be a true contending team in the Western Conference if they continue to keep this up for the second half of the NBA season. And then going on to my last best improved team would be the New Orleans Pelicans. The New Orleans Pelicans have shown strides. They are improving in the NBA this season. Now, last season, when the Pelicans lost Zion Williamson right before the NBA All-Star break, I believe, they did not secure a playoff spot in the Western Conference, and they've missed the playoffs. And that was disappointing because if you guys remember back in the 2022 playoffs, they gave the Phoenix Suns a run for their money in the first round. I mean, they took them all the way to Game 6 with no Zion, a young, talented team. They took the Phoenix Suns to the limit in the 2022 playoffs, and then they missed the playoffs in 2023 last year. So the potential is there for this Pelicans team to continue to improve, and they're improving in the right direction this year. Right now, they are holding on. They are holding on in their own right. They're the number 6 seed in the Western Conference. And right now, I'm not ready to call them contenders, but I truly believe that Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum, Brandon Ingram, the talent is there in New Orleans. They just got to continue to get better on both sides of the court and maybe get a few more pieces in the future. But I have to say they are improving and making strides in the right direction. There's no right or wrongs about that. When you have your star player and Zion healthy, you have Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum playing well. You just got to get better on the defensive side of court, and potentially you can hang around with the top teams in the West maybe one day. But I have to say they are improving in the right direction. But those are my most improved teams this NBA season.